Have you ever wondered how Hollywood glamour and royal perfection can collapse in an instant? How a life meticulously crafted over decades can unravel in a matter of hours? Today, we're revealing a story so shocking, so unprecedented, it will shake the world of fame, power, and royalty. This is not mere gossip, it's a real-life high-stakes drama, hidden for years, now finally exposed. If you want to be the first to see every shocking update, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you do not want to be the last to know the truth. May 1st, 2026, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. The world's cameras are fixed on Washington, D.C., where King Charles III is arriving with full military honors. But 5 hours away, in the sun-drenched hills of Montecito, California, a completely different story is unfolding. A story of power, isolation, and betrayal. Inside a 16-bedroom mansion, the lights of a beige-toned office remain on for 3 straight days. Papers, drafts, and rejected statements litter the floor. Trademark disputes and legal warnings are stacked high on the desks. This is no ordinary chaos. This is the collapse of an empire built carefully over years, a world once polished and glamorous, now paralyzed. A former staffer who walked away just 48 hours ago recalls the haunting sight Meghan Markle staring at her reflection in a darkened window, whispering into an empty room, "How did the king make me invisible in my own country?" The Hollywood allies who were once her strongest pillars, Oprah Winfrey, Serena Williams, and other A-listers, have all disappeared from her orbit. Her attempts to rally support were met with polite silence. In her world, silence is the deadliest sound. But the most terrifying element is not the isolation. It is the man who knows her past better than anyone, Trevor Engelson. He is the ghost of her pre-fame life, the only person who holds the original blueprint of the woman Meghan once was, before cameras, before royalty. Trevor possesses emails, texts, and digital breadcrumbs from 2013 and earlier. These are the records of conversations, interactions, and events that Meghan assumed had vanished forever. And now, in 2026, he is free to speak. Unlike her former staff, Hollywood allies, or even legal teams, Trevor cannot be silenced retroactively. He is a free legal agent, and what he knows could dismantle the carefully crafted narrative of the Duchess. This is not simply a divorce story. It is a decade-long chess game, with every move carefully plotted and every contingency calculated. But the player from the past is finally making his move.
On the same day that King Charles enjoys a high-profile state visit in Washington, Meghan's Montecito empire is crumbling. Every connection, every strategic alliance, every carefully constructed social network she relied upon has evaporated. Where she once leveraged her ties to royalty for influence in Hollywood, now she faces complete isolation. Insiders reveal that every attempt to contact former allies, friends, or advisors was met with polite refusal. The timing is brutal. Just as the monarchy displays its unyielding power abroad, the Duchess's American empire collapses. Every PR strategy, every personal calculation is now exposed to scrutiny and potential disaster. The origins of this collapse date back over a decade. In 2013, Meghan and Trevor finalized a standard civil divorce in Los Angeles. No royal oversight, no international protocols, just paperwork. At that time, she assumed a simple legal separation would erase all traces of her past. She was wrong. Fast forward to 2016, when she married Prince Harry. New NDAs and ironclad contracts were implemented, covering everyone in her current orbit. But Trevor, her ex-husband, was never part of this system. He never signed a gag order, and the law cannot retroactively bind him to silence. By 2026, he has the keys to all events, communications, and records Meghan assumed were permanently hidden. This legal gap, the ghost loophole, has become her most critical vulnerability. Her empire, meticulously rebuilt, is now threatened not by a rival, but by someone who simply refuses to be erased. 2013 emails, conversations and correspondences from her Toronto years. These emails show her ambitions, her early strategies, and the calculated steps she took to reinvent herself. 2011 pregnancy contract, allegedly, This contract specified that in the event of a pregnancy, a personal trainer, nutritionist, and round-the-clock nanny would be provided. This was not about love or family, it was a pre-planned PR operation. Fertility records from Ontario clinics document suggesting timelines and procedures that could contradict public narratives regarding the births of her children. The implications are enormous. If these records are validated, this is no longer just Hollywood drama. It could challenge royal succession, the legitimacy of titles, and the very narrative presented to the public. The public story portrays Meghan and Harry's journey as a fairy tale romance, a chance encounter, instant chemistry, and eventual royalty. But Trevor's records tell a different story. They reveal a meticulously planned operation, a strategy board that placed Prince Harry at the center of her future long before they ever met. Trevor provided the financial and social scaffolding, giving her access to power networks she could never have reached alone. The consequence? A calculated rise to influence, but with every strategic move, a risk of catastrophic exposure if any piece of her past were revealed. And in 2026, that exposure is happening. As of May 1st, 2026, Montecito is in full collapse. Over 18 senior staffers, including PR, legal, and logistical specialists, have walked away from the mansion. The 19th resignation of her newly appointed Director of Global Communications triggered total paralysis. For years, Meghan leveraged her brand and royal connections to maintain influence. But now, without a team, without allies, she is left entirely vulnerable. Every calculated risk, every legal or PR strategy has been rendered ineffective.
Picture this: a global superstar, once adored and envied, trapped alone in a beige office surrounded by rejected drafts, legal notices, and the remnants of her empire. Her professional world is fractured, her personal world under siege, and the clock is ticking. The audience is left with one chilling question: is this the end of the Sussex brand, or the beginning of a much darker chapter? Every second matters, and every revelation exposes the fragility of a life built on perception rather than permanence. Imagine this: a life meticulously crafted over decades, a global superstar and duchess suddenly facing a collapse so total it could erase everything she has built. Today, we're taking you behind the scenes of a story so shocking, so cinematic, it reads like fiction, but it's real. Secrets, betrayals, and hidden truths that could change everything are finally coming to light. If you want to be the first to see every revelation, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This is a story you cannot miss. May 1st, 2026. While the world watches King Charles III in Washington, D.C. with full state honors, Montecito, California is silent in all the wrong ways. The exterior of a sprawling mansion remains serene, sun-drenched, picture-perfect. But inside, it's a different reality entirely. Staffers speak of a tense, high-stakes atmosphere where every word is measured and every opinion a potential act of betrayal. Weeks earlier, the PR team had warned about legal vulnerabilities of the new brand logo. The as-ever trademark had been rejected due to its uncanny similarity to the ancient coat of arms of Perez, a small town in Spain. But Meghan's reaction, according to insiders, was defiance, not concern. She perceived it as institutional sabotage, a deliberate attack orchestrated from London. Every failed venture, from overpriced lifestyle products to rejected trademarks, was filtered through this lens of conspiracy. Inside the mansion, the most chilling element was a soundproof gym in the North Wing, nicknamed by staff as the Rage Room. On the day news broke of Trevor Engelson's alleged $20 million memoir deal, witnesses described the atmosphere as unbearable. Muffled, guttural screams echoed through the corridors, trapped behind walls meant to contain them. The woman who once controlled every narrative now faced the ultimate loss. The past she thought was buried was resurfacing, and she had no control over the lead actor, Trevor himself. A former aide, speaking anonymously, revealed the most terrifying element wasn't anger. It was the absence of any plan. The master of PR, the strategist who had directed her own rise, was now subject to the very chaos she once orchestrated. The collapse is a self-reinforcing loop. Every attempt by Meghan to control the narrative only fractures it further. She blames external enemies for setbacks, creating blind spots that Trevor's files exploit with precision. While she fights a perceived war with King Charles in Washington, the real threat lurks within the walls of Montecito, emails, documents, and digital records that Trevor refused to delete in 2013. The As Ever brand is caught in legal limbo. The skeleton crew in Montecito struggles to maintain a semblance of order. Her director has lost her cast, her team of experts, leaving the mansion a ghost of its former professional hub. Every rejected trademark, every delayed business deal now compounds the feeling of isolation and impending collapse. Intelligence from inside Montecito and legal teams in London suggests three possible futures for Meghan. The nuclear scenario: if Trevor publishes his memoir in September 2026, the fallout could be catastrophic. Biological records and Toronto files may reveal a decade-long deception about her medical history and entry into the royal family. The palace may be forced to strip her of her title to protect the integrity of the line of succession. In this reality, Meghan Markle becomes a cautionary tale, a former royal relegated to reality television, stripped of everything she spent millions to acquire. The legal quagmire attempting to stop Trevor through litigation could be disastrous. A trial would force every private email, every deleted text, and all NDAs into the public record. The As Ever brand would collapse under legal fees and scrutiny, and the Duchess herself could be remembered not for her empire, but for a public cross-examination she cannot survive. The Great Disappearance facing unsustainable financial pressure, Meghan could retreat completely. Prince Harry might return to London, leaving her alone in Montecito. She would retain the mansion, but lose global influence, trapped in a Hollywood nightmare, a silent phone, no allies, and the world moved on without her. One piece of evidence threatens all her defenses, a photograph from the early 90s. It shows a 15-year-old Meghan Markle standing in front of Buckingham Palace. But this is no tourist photo. Insiders say it captures a young girl with a focused, unwavering gaze, someone who had already targeted her vision decades before the public blind date with Harry. Her story of being a naive outsider, undermined. The vision board that people thought started in Toronto in 2012 began much earlier. Every public appearance, every carefully constructed narrative was a chapter in a play rehearsed from childhood. And now the final act is unfolding. Inside Montecito, and within a digital folder Trevor has guarded since 2013. The forensic implications are immense. Trevor's 2012 fertility records and Toronto emails contradict the official royal birth narratives. If verified, these records could trigger legal scrutiny, threaten succession, and disrupt decades of public narrative carefully maintained by the palace and Meghan's teams. For years, Meghan controlled her public persona, directing media narratives and silencing critics. But the moment Trevor entered the picture again, the control shifted. She now faces a digital archive she cannot manipulate, an audience watching every revelation, and a legal reality that cannot be PR managed. Inside Montecito, the environment is one of high-stakes terror. Every dissenting voice, every opinion counter to hers, is considered betrayal. Staffers describe a trauma landscape. The mansion becomes not just a home, but a theater of fear, where walls absorb screams and the weight of isolation intensifies daily. Her professional empire, built over years, is now at the mercy of history itself. The As Ever brand teeters on the edge of collapse, not because of market forces, but because the records, emails, and files Trevor preserved refuse to align with her carefully curated image. Every business failure, every legal misstep is magnified by this looming threat. The world is watching. The King's state visit proceeds, the palace remains powerful, and Montecito is silent except for the ghosts of past decisions. If you want to see the forensic breakdown of the 2012 fertility records and emails that could rewrite royal history, subscribe now and turn on notifications. Like this video to demand transparency and drop your theories in the comments. What do you think Trevor's ultimate goal is? The story is evolving by the minute. The most protected files are about to be opened, secrets long thought buried are resurfacing, and the Duchess of Sussex's empire may never recover. The clock is ticking, and the final truth behind the spotlight is coming home.